Welcome to the Sens Spotlight podcast brought to you by the Sick Podcast Network. Before we get started, bet the beauties with Betway and scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account and download the app. Must be 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Betway is an official sponsor of your Ottawa Senators. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show. That really helps us out. And we're back with Pierre McGuire talking about last night's game in LA, and thankfully the Sens don't have to play the Kings again. So it should be a fun discussion. And hit it, Shane.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Sens Spotlight.
Here's Alfredson, bursts of speed, gets a shot away, scored! Daniel Alfredson ends the game in overtime and sends the Ottawa Senators to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in franchise history.
The sickest Ottawa Senators podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And we are joined by Pierre McGuire. Pierre, just what were your initial thoughts on last night's loss to the Kings?
Hard-working game for both teams. I thought matchups really mattered a lot. Obviously, Phil Deneau against Stutzle as much as possible for LA. It was a great goaltending matchup, too. I thought Darcy Kemper was obviously really good. I thought Leevi Meriläinen was outstanding for Ottawa. The only thing that I had a problem with from time to time was a bit of the transition defense for Ottawa. I'll give you a case in point on the first goal by LA. Obviously, it's a great pass by Armia, but Jensen's got to match speed there in the back door with Warren Foegele. And that really started in the neutral zone, that whole thing, because of the long stretch pass. There was just too big a gap between the forwards and the defense, and that's probably why Jensen lost his positioning or his integrity with Foegele. But outside of that, that's a hard-fought game. I mean, that could have gone either way. And the interesting thing about that whole game, and I don't know if you feel the same way, Alex, I think Darcy Kemper right now is putting on a show because it's an Olympic year. And it doesn't mean that he wouldn't do this if it was a non-Olympic year. But I think he's starting to sense now that he's got a legitimate chance to be a goalie for Canada at the Olympics.
Yeah, I think he's one of a couple goalies, Canadian goalies, that are like, ooh, there is no clear outside. I think Jordan Binnington's going to be on that team, but outside of him, who's struggled this year, who knows who's going to be the other two goaltenders? So it's wide open.
And I think he senses that too. I really do. And Alex, just watching him play, there's a certain confidence to his game. He's not a kid anymore. I remember when Minnesota drafted him out of the Western Hockey League, and there was a swagger to his game, but then it kind of fell away. And now you see that swagger back, and obviously he's a Stanley Cup winning guy, but you see that swagger back, which kind of gone away for a while. And I think the Olympics is part of that for him.
Yeah, and speaking of goaltending, I thought Leevi Meriläinen, he played really well last night. None of the goals were his fault. Like the Zub, it hits off him and goes but I just think he's, outside of his first game of the season, he's played really, really well. And I think you look at him, Allmark's starting to go in the positive, kind of positive regression towards, the goaltender he is in Allmark's case. You're seeing the goaltending turn around. You're seeing the team turn around. That's a game, I think you agree with me, Pierre. If the Senators play like that, 9 games out of 10, they're going to win 7 of them. Like that's
I agree.
The way they're playing is a winning style of hockey, and sometimes you lose. There's good teams, puck bounces. Don't let me get started on officiating. That's just like flip a coin and who freaking knows. But that was a good game from the Senators, despite the fact that they come away with 0 points.
Yeah, it's kind of a playoff game, and to run the state of California is hard right now. They go into Anaheim and they win 3-2. They go into San Jose, they win 3-2. They lose 2-1. So every game's a 1-goal game. It used to be over the last 5 years outside of LA, you were running California. You were running Southern California, Anaheim. You were running Northern California in San Jose. It's not that easy anymore. So the fact is, out of a possible 6 points, you take 4. That's really positive as far as I see it. I love what you just said, Alex, about the way Ottawa played. If they play that way 7 out of 10 times, they're going to win 7 out of 10 times. They really are. So I think that's important. There's one more thing, though, that I really admire. Timmy knew that it was a big matchup game for him. He knows because DJ's there, and he's aware that DJ knows what he can do. And so they loaded up on Timmy last night, and I thought Timmy looked phenomenal last night. I really do. And I can say it last night, but it's really today when I was watching it for me. But I thought Timmy was really, really good, and that says a lot about where he is in his game right now.
And people were like, "Oh, he didn't get a point." He set up that Zetterlund goal. That was crazy. He's at the end of his shift. He backtracks into his own zone. He sees Quinton Byfield, who they had been going up against each other, which is an interesting 2020 draft. He turns or like kind of spins off Byfield, enters the zone, flips it to Jensen to Manapala. But he created the entire play and
100%.
space on that goal. And he was unbelievable. He probably got penalized with the refs didn't call anything against him. He in that second period, he had 3 high danger mini breaks where he got slashed, tripped, hooked, and he was outstanding last night.
What's really good about what you said is you recognize that it's Byfield on the ice against him and not Deneau. Timmy, this speaks to the maturity of the player. Recognizes, I'm at the end of a shift. Those guys have already gone off. The guys have been bugging me all night long, especially with Fogle and Deneau. And he says, I got Byfield. I'm gonna work this. That shows you a player that's starting to understand, what he has to do, especially in matchup situations, to dominate a game. Nobody did it better than Mario Lemieux. He would extend his shifts because he knew it was a matchup every single night, and he would ask us, who's going to be matching up on me tonight? And we'd say, well, if it's Boston, it's Bobby Sweeney. If it's New York, it's Erickson. You go around the league, there were always certain matchup guys that Mary would have to play. Joel Otto out in Calgary is an example. So we would tell him, and he would know, what? I'm going to extend my shift because the guy that's coming out that's supposed to be matching up on me not as good as a matchup guy. And Timmy did that last night. I thought that was really smart and savvy by him.
It's funny being a beat reporter, and when they're gone for 7, games, you're thinking okay, I want to do this story. I'm thinking of this, and the thing I've been thinking about is going up to Timmy and being like, okay, what has changed for you to be so good defensively and so good offensively? He's put it all together this season, in my opinion. His defense, he's not cheating the game. He might take longer shifts, but he's not just ditzy dallying, not carrying in his own end. He's been great. Pinto's the matchup guy for them, but it's not because Timmy's been bad or a liability or anything like that. And man, I keep thinking about when Tkachuk's back. Now you start seeing the engines roar for this offense for the Senators, and it seems like he's going to be back on Friday, according to Bruce Garriock. So I think I really like where this team's going. I know they lost; it sucks. You had to stay up until midnight, the Sens fans. At the same time, I think you take a lot of positives for just the way this team's playing right now.
Yeah, the only concern I have, Shabbat not playing. Obviously, we talked about that the other day. I was concerned about that coming out of the San Jose game, and obviously it's an issue. I don't know how serious. You would know that better than I would. And then I don't know how's Halliday doing today, after the game yesterday.
Yeah, he took a couple shifts after. He didn't play the fourth line like Hodgson, but yeah, I think he's probably missing a couple teeth, which sucks. I think the injury concern, outside of how handsome Stephen Halliday looks after losing a couple teeth, will be is he in concussion protocol, because that was a really dangerous hit. Again, another no call. Just refereeing, man. It's a tough job, but just be consistent. And the Cousins penalty at the end of the game, the guy Kuzmenko steps on a stick. It's not like a trip. You can call it. It's a penalty. And then there's the too many men on the ice with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And it just whatever. It's
one of those nights. Teams have them, coaches have them, broadcasters have them, maybe writers have them, but referees have them too. It was one of those nights. It really was last night. I saw it today. Like I said, I'm just like, wow. They had a rough night.
And I still think of that Dallas game a couple weeks ago where, let's just say Sens brass was absolutely heated about the officiating that night. We'll leave it at that. But just maybe quickly on Zetterlund, 2 goals in back-to-back games. I think Claire Hanna called it Californication or something like that. She tweeted that, which was funny. I didn't have the balls to say that, but good on Claire for for tweeting that. But what have you just seen in the last couple of games where he's found the back of the net?
I think he's wanting the puck more. Obviously, Montemapalo makes a really good play yesterday. I mean, and you talked about Timmy already extending the play, but I thought that Montemapalo jumping into the cycle there, that helped them. And, Zetterlund getting to the net, jumping on the rebound, corralling it, finishing. I thought his shot in San Jose was, an amazing shot. It was a great hockey play. So I was happy about that. If he can, and he's been a streak scorer, if he can streak the right time now, that would be very important. Going into Vegas isn't easy, especially with an extra day. You just hope that there's a maturity around the group. I prefer to go in there just the day of the game and play, honestly. But, the guys know these points are a premium. I think if Ottawa takes care of the rest of this trip the way they've done the first 3 games, they're going to be in really good shape. But these next games really do. I know they're not conference games. I know they're not division games, but they matter. They matter a lot.
It's almost like I don't know a good analogy off the top of my head, but if you can bank the points now, you just went into basically outside of Colorado, all of the best teams in the Western Conference.
Yep.
And you've come out with let's say they win 2 of their last 3 games, right? Before Montreal. Then you don't have to play those teams on the road the rest of the year. And basically the rest of your competitors have to go into those gauntlets and try to find a way. So sure, you might be a bit lower in the standings because, it's hard to beat a Vegas. It's hard to beat an LA. It's hard to beat a Dallas on the road. But if you can get out something from those games, as the season progresses, you're going to have easier games, more at home, et cetera, et cetera. So again, tough loss. They have to find a way. They can't lose the next 3, their next 4 games on the road. But the way they're playing, they put themselves in a good spot to moving down throughout the season where, we almost have points in the bank that aren't official points in the bank, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I think it's well said. I totally agree. I'm going to go back to the ice time for some of the bottom end players. I think the ice time on the back end is fine. It's being sorted out really well. If Jake's playing 25 minutes, which is about where he was last night, that's fine. There's not a problem there. I worry more about now with the tail end of the road trip. Now you got time zone travel too. You're not locked in the Pacific time zone. You're going from Vegas, you're going into St. Louis, and you're going into Dallas. Even though they're not back to back, you're still dealing with time zone travel, and that does have an effect. So I just wonder about the depth right now of the group going into the last 3 games of this extended Western trip. But a real positive last night, and you have to really pay attention to the stats because in LA sometimes you don't always get the benefit of the doubt. But they looked really solid in face-off play last night as I was watching it today. And so I went and looked this morning at the stats and the face-offs, and it was 69-31 percentage-wise in favor of Ottawa. That's significant. That says a lot about Timmy. That says a lot about Shane. That says a lot about Cousins. It says a lot, about what they're doing with their upper echelon players when it comes to winning faceoffs. That's really an important stat. Really important.
And it's interesting, we look back last year and where the Senators' downfall came was they didn't win faceoffs on the PK, right? And looking at it this year, obviously they gave up that PK goal. It wasn't off a faceoff or anything.
That's a bad luck goal. You would agree with me though, Alex.
Oh yeah.
Clark had 10 pucks and he shot 10. There's no way that 9 of them are going in. Maybe 1. Off a Zub like that. That's a tough. I felt so bad for Zuby.
But what's interesting, they dominated the faceoff dot, and that's a veteran team. That's Deneau. That's Kopitar. These aren't it's not Deneau, going into Santa
Field. Absolutely. Yeah. No, you're right on.
And so, it's interesting just to see how, the one thing that I'm still a bit worried about, and LA is a good team on the PK, but their power play still, I know they scored in their last 2 games. It still feels a bit out of sync. I think teams have realized, we were trying to pressure the points a little bit more. And Ottawa's really having a tough time entering the zone and keeping the puck in the zone and just almost having enough time to create plays. And that's the one Achilles heel right now. I think the PK has been good. I've liked it, but
I thought they were really aggressive last night. I mean, Clark scores with 1 second to go on the power play. But I thought by and large, LA wasn't doing very much.
Yeah.
I thought it was a penalty kill that was really good. I like what you said about the power play because you can see teams are definitely taking away Sanderson as an option.
Yeah.
It'll change. I think it'll change. No guarantees, but I think it changes when Brady's back in the lineup because then you can't overcommit because if you leave Brady alone, it totally changes a lot of things.
Because he's not just a force in terms of finishing, like rebounds. He can tip, right? So he has such good hands in front. You can't just leave him with a wide open lane to try to deflect it, right? So you need to be closer in on him. Thus, you drag guys back. Like you coached in the league. When you have another star, it's like that gravity, that weight where everything goes to him and then it opens up space for the rest of the team.
I'll give you an example. This is for Ottawa fans because they'll remember back in the day when LaFontaine and Mogilny and Bodger and Himalev and Howard Chuck were the power play in Buffalo and they were all healthy, you had to pick your poison. But when one guy went down, if one of them got hurt, it totally changed how you would penalty kill against them. We played them 9 times in 1 year because of a scheduling thing, 9 times in 1 year. And we noticed they killed us on the power play. They really did. But then one guy went down. I think it might have been Pat LaFontaine had gone down, and we dominated them in certain situations. But it just shows you how one guy does make a difference on a power play situation. I think Brady will make that difference.
What kind of it seems like Brady's coming back, maybe not tomorrow on Wednesday against Vegas, but against St. Louis on Friday. Just what will that be like for this team? Obviously, he's one of their best players, one of the best players in the world. But are you worried about a bit of an adjustment period? He's coming off a thumb injury, and how important do you think it will be just to have Tkachuk back in the lineup?
It's important to have him back in the lineup. This is my only concern, and I'm sure Travis is going to guard against it. When a star player comes back, sometimes the other guys are like, phew, he's back. So you let your guard down. I don't think he'll let that happen. That's one of the things of having veteran players. A guy like Giroux's been through that before. A guy like Perron's been through that before. Those older guys that have been through it, they help you get through it. Jensen's another guy who's seen it in Detroit, saw it in Washington. So those guys can kind of help you meander through it. So sometimes their words matter more than the coaches. But that's my one concern is, when he comes back, other guys kind of wrestle. He's back. So that's number one. But number two, the biggest thing that I think he does is that there's that physical dimension to his game that opens up a ton of ice for everybody else, including if Timmy keeps dominating like this and he gets Brady back, oh my goodness. Timmy's going to take off, really take off numbers wise.
We still don't know because Travis Green's on the road. There's no media there. But what's happened to Ridley Gregg? But let's say Gregg comes back on Friday. I have no insight. He might be out for 3 weeks. I don't know. But if Tkachuk and Gregg come back into the lineup, I am so curious to see what Green does in terms of the lines. Right? It's like
you got to think Hodgson's probably going to be out. I would imagine so he'll be out. I got to think Halliday probably going to be out, and it'll be I think Nick Cousins does well in a limited role, but if they start to get more guys back,
yeah, it's basically Cousins, Halliday, Hodgson. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think you need McDermott. Yeah, do you need McDermott with Tkachuk back? I feel like not really. I think he was a stopgap for Tkachuk being out. Just in terms of that enforcer presence. But do you put Tkachuk along Timmy and Batherson? That's what I would do personally. I'm
putting my hand up and saying yes.
I wrote a story for Sportsnet about the Amadio Pinto line being the best third line in the league. Again,
don't forget Giroux.
I know he'd probably slash my back if he heard me forget him. I'm kidding. Giroux's a great guy, but I don't think they're changing that. So it's like, what happens to that second line, and what player drops down to the fourth? Is it David Perron? Is it probably not Zetterlund the way he's playing? Is it Ridley Gregg? Right. But that's the thing. Fans are going to be like, oh my God, how is Ridley Gregg on the fourth line? How is David Perron? That's what happens to good teams. Don't forget that.
But so I'll give you an example of what Alex is saying. It's so true. I remember a fourth line in St. Louis that had Oscar Sundqvist, Alexander Steen, and Ivan Barbashev, and they won the Stanley Cup. And that fourth line started most games. So as to Alex's point, don't always number your lines because sometimes your fourth is more valuable than your first. And if you can play four lines and take everybody's ice time between 14 minutes a game, or let's go 12 minutes a game and 19 minutes a game, your team is fresh. Your team can weigh the other team down big time, and you're going to have a chance to win. You really are. But you got to find that chemistry with those depth players. You really do.
For sure. And if Steos adds another forward, we've talked about slotting a lot.
Yep.
Then your fourth line could be like, I'm just throwing this out there. It could be Greg, Eller, Perron. It's like,
I'm just doing the math here in my brain. Greg, Eller,
I'm presuming you add another forward.
Yeah,
and
no,
then you have Cousins and Zetterlunders.
But that would be a good fourth line. That would be a really so people forget that Barbashev plays in the first line in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
He does. He was a fourth line player in a Stanley Cup winning team. Nobody will even remember that. But I was there doing all the games. Like Alex Steen, Berube asked Alex Steen. I was there when he did it. He asked Alex Steen. He said, "Look, you're one of the leaders of this team. We're going to ask you to go deeper in the lineup. You're not going to play with Robert Thomas. You're not going to play with Braden Shen. We're going to put you deep. You're going to play with Sundqvist. You're going to play with Barbashev. But those guys, you're going to play. Like you're going to influence game." So I'm going to say I don't have the exact numbers, but I'm going to say just having done all their playoff run games, I'm going to say they probably played or started 85% of every period. Like every period, they probably started 85% of the time.
Yeah.
Games, period, like that's a lot for a fourth.
But it's almost like juxtapose it with this team. What line always starts games? Amadio.
Yeah, Pinto, Giroux.
Right. So it's depth matters. Obviously, it's nice to have a Connor McDavid, Mikko Rantanen. I will say Tim Stutzle is looking like he's getting into that, maybe not top 5, but top 10, 12 guys in the league.
It's going to be interesting. I love what you bring this up, Alex. Montreal's got a guy named Nick Suzuki. Ottawa's got a guy named Tim Stutzle. And we're going to watch these guys for a long time playing in big games. Ottawa and Montreal are trending the right way. They really are long term. Yeah. They really are. They're going to be very similar. I think Suzuki right now is a little bit better defensively. I think Timmy's a little bit better offensively. Timmy can break free a little bit more because his speed's got an extra gear. It doesn't mean Suzuki's slow. He's not. But so there's give and takes on both sides. But I'm just telling you, like this thing is setting up so good.
Like you want to set Twitter afire. It's like doing the Hudson Sanderson. I still feel I know who I ride with. I like size and youth. And
size matters. People can say whatever they want. If you have a big guy and a small guy and their skill sets are the same, the big guy is always going to get the advantage over the little guy. It doesn't mean the little guy can't play. The little guys can play.
Yeah.
They can. But, like Scott Stevens wasn't a huge, tall person, but he was thick as a brick and he could waste you. He could crush you. You wanted that guy in your team. He mattered. He mattered a ton.
So that's the one thing where we don't need to make this the Sens play the Habs in 2 weeks or the week. So maybe we'll save it for then. But what I like about the Sens more than the Habs is the size. You look at Caulfield, Suzuki, Hudson. That's okay in the regular season. I don't think it matters too much. But in playoff hockey, I think the size, like you have Tkachuk, Stutzle, Sanderson, like two big boys in Sanderson and Tkachuk. Stutzle's like a good 6'1", 6'2", and like
he's thick.
He's thick, right? So, anyways, but that we'll save that for later. I know you have to go, Pierre. Is there anything else you want to say or anything on your mind before I let you go?
Leevi. Leevi. I think Leevi was fantastic. Again, I don't want to undersell that. And I think when you have two goalies going the way they have it going right now with Ullmark and Leevi, that matters a lot, especially when you have all these games on the road. I'm not sure everybody thought this would be the case at the beginning of the year. And so that's kind of like an important thing going forward. I look at Colorado right now, obviously the best team in the league, and I watch every single game they play. You got the two Woods. You got, Blackwood, and you got Wedgwood. And the two Woods are probably the best tandem in the league right now.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying Ottawa is the best tandem in the league, but they're going to be, if these guys keep doing what they're doing, they're going to be in the top 5 in terms of tandems in the league. And that matters. So remember the last game we gave a big shout out to Michael King, for his video work and challenges, and he's been awesome. I think we got to give some love to Justin Peters.
Yeah.
I think Justin's done the goalie coach for Ottawa, for those that don't know. I think he's done a tremendous job. I've always liked him from the first time I ever watched him play when he was playing in Carolina. I've had him over to my house many times for dinner back in the day when he was just starting out as a coach, and I just think the world of that guy. I really do. I just think he's a tremendous coach. I really do.
I spoke to him recently for .ca, a couple of journalists, and it was interesting, his approach where he said, you can't coach Allmark and Leevi the same way because they're different personalities. They're different types of goaltenders. And to me, that's music to my ears. I always think it's like coach to the personnel, to the human, to the way they approach the game, because Allmark is very methodical, very much about his IQ, the way he reads the game. He's not as athletic. Leevi is like a ball of athleticism that you kind of have to bring in and rein in. And I think Justin Peters deserves a lot of credit for, it was not looking good the first 10 games.
Yeah.
And the last, 15 or so, they've really turned it around. So credit to him. And I will say, hey, Sens, you guys posted a video of Leevi Meriläinen saying levitating. I wrote that a year ago. Okay. I wanted that trademarked. Okay. That's BS. So anyways, he was levitating last night despite the
Hey, aren't a lot of the things we talk about on our show being used by a lot of different people?
No comment. My lawyers are in process now. Yeah. No, that's true. It does happen. It does happen, Pierre. But we're a fan-friendly show, so we do this for the fans for sure. So, Pierre, I know I have to let you go. Thanks so much for taking time and doing this, and we'll talk to you in a couple days.
Yeah, we will. I look forward to it. Have a great one. See you later, Alex. Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Sens Spotlight on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.